Fresh out of the mage training arena, we are currently at Ammonite Crab's water surging. Now, this is really wacky because, who in their right mind would be water surging Ammonite Crabs, especially as an Ironman? But this is just one of those weird, wacky moments that are created because I am a group Ironman with a maxed account in the GIM. Runecrafting Wrath Runes as a maxed account is no big deal at all. I believe it is just under 10,000 Wrath Runes an hour. And as you know, with Magic, you can only ever cast about 1,200 casts per hour. And Surge spells only cost 1 Wrath Rune per cast. Anyways, now that we're out of the Mage training arena, we are doing everything we can at any time that we're logged in to get our Magic levels up. We're currently at 88 Magic, and our goal is to get Ice Barrage at 94. But we're also going to get, I don't know, maybe 95 or 96 just to create that buffer. Because in the Inferno, if you get hit by the bats, they will drain your stats. Now don't worry, we're not going to be water surging Ammonite Crabs all the way to 94 or 96 or whatever. Currently I'm being a bit lazy, so I'm just parked here at the moment. However, we're probably going to look to do some ice bursting in the Monkey Madness 1 caves. And I know, Monkey Madness 2 caves is where you're supposed to be at. But I'm sure you noticed I'm 60 Slayer. And I'm not about to do 9 Slayer levels just for this. I'm also going to be utilizing Nightmare Zone and Water Surging in there as well. Some of the Nightmare Zone mobs do have a water elemental weakness. I think I mentioned this during the middle of the MTA grind, but we're 96 range and this is going to be the stopping point, and I'm ready to send the Inferno at this level. This is because I'm comparing my DPS to a typical Ironman Crystal bowfa run with Rigor, which is actually the exact setup I used on Wait For It. And funny enough, at 96 range with Deadeye, if I'm wearing my Eclipse armor with the T-bow, it already out DPS's the bowfa on Zuck. So that being said, I feel pretty confident about being 96 range. I've also had thoughts about just sending the Inferno with 88 Magic as is, and just utilizing Ice Burst. However, I guess I'm going to hold off against that as things are already stacked against me. I'm not sure how 50 defense and 63 prayer are going to go. So it's pretty difficult to guess how hard this Infernal Cape is going to be. I do have the experience on my side of having done 4 previous KC, and of course I do get to use the Twisted Bow. But with 50 defense, will I be able to tank blobs? Will I be able to get away with tanking a couple of melee hits here and there? And one of the big questions for me is, will I have to flick the set at Zuck? And in terms of prayer, every Inferno run I've ever done, I've always been good on supplies. But again, that's with 99 or close to 99 prayer. But I guess that could be negated if I use those new prayer regeneration pots. Anyways, this is a bit of a tangent, a bit of a ramble as to what I'm thinking in terms of preparing for the Inferno. Let's get to the Magic training. Probably the next couple of clips are going to be me ice bursting if I can be bothered. And then just before we get into the Inferno, I'll showcase our setup and how we're going to be tackling it. Okay, we are able to pay a little bit more attention now, so I've made my way over to the Monkey Madness 1 tunnels. We just got here, so the skeletons are still building up, but we should be getting better EXP rates here as we are ice bursting huge clumps of skeletons. And we're using Mystic Vigor as well. A little bit of a quality of life thing here is I actually went into the settings and I changed NPC attack options to always right click. This is so I can pick up the bones and spread them out easier and not accidentally click on the skeletons all the time. Of course, we're wearing our Blue Moon set, but let's show off the newly acquired gear like the Infinity Boots and the Mage's Book. We've got our Seer's Ring that's imbued from our time training in Nightmare Zone. We're currently using the Occult Necklace, the Kodai Wand, and Tormented Bracelet borrowed from Wait For It. So we got a huge stack of bones on one tile and we need to spread them out. So here we go. I'm able to just left click through the skeletons to pick up the bones and spread them out. And then once we get set up with the bones, we just get back to our spot here and right click attack. Or even just let it auto retaliate. So without question, bursting is definitely better EXP rates per hour, but at the cost of all the burst runes and prayer pots. That's okay though, we're not exactly in short supply of prayer pots, we have plenty of those, and at this point I'm just looking to get to the Inferno as fast as I can. So we're still bursting at the Monkey Madness 1 tunnels right now, and obviously bursting takes up a lot of death runes and chaos runes. Chaos runes we're going to be buying from the rune shops. However, with the death runes, I'm going to be manually rune crafting them myself through the abyss. Cleared up about half the inventory of prayer pots, so over on Wait For It, I'm currently making the trip over to drop off some prayer pots. Let's make sure we have our monkey gree so we don't get absolutely destroyed. Okay, we've made it here at the same location on Wait For It. Obviously, we're in combat, so we're not going to be able to trade, so I'm just going to walk under and drop these prayer pots over. They should show up in about a minute. 89 magic. Well, the pop-up was short-lived. We got interrupted. So this is a little bit of an awkward revelation, but I have recently switched over to casting Shadow Barrage, which we could have done quite some time ago, and even before that we could have been casting Smoke Barrage. I think I overlooked the other spells because in the context of the Inferno, the only two spells you really need are the blood spells and ice spells, and I've solely been training magic for that reason, for the Inferno. So I've been thinking about Ice Burst and upgrading the Ice Barrage, but in terms of training my actual magic levels up, I could be using the best possible spell available, which right now is Shadow Barrage. So I dropped off some Soul Runes and Air Runes with Wait For It, and now we're training with Shadow Barrage. Our EXP per hour should go up, and we should be getting bigger EXP drops in general. It's a new day, and I just finished up my farm run and bird houses as per usual, but next sure thing to do today, Tears of Guthix. We're still 47 rune crafting, so we can safely do this without accidentally leveling up something we don't want to. Okay, we actually got a new PB in terms of Tears of Guthix. I'm going to jump from 47 to 48 rune crafting. Just made it back to the spot in the tunnels. It's going to take a little bit of setup time, but once we get going, we're going to get a lot of EXP. It won't take too long into the day before we hit 90 magic and 95 hit points. Oops, missed the 95 hit point pop-up, but that also takes us to 102 combat. I believe we maxed out at 103. This is under the assumption that we keep 50 defense and 63 prayer. And actually something that I have not mentioned before is that I've trained my attack levels to 82, and that unlocks the Fang, and pretty much allows me to use anything in the game. But staying at 82 will keep my combat levels as low as possible, that being 103. I hadn't really discussed the attack level restriction in great detail, and that's because it was kind of a spur of the moment thing a little while ago when I was training strength levels, and I was like, I've been stuck at 80 for quite some time. What should I do with that, right? And I just decided to get an extra 2 levels and leave it at that. If I'm not mistaken, I don't think our inability to gain attack EXP will affect anything really. We're already restricted because of our choice to stay at 50 defense, and most weapons we're going to avoid using, such as the Hasta or the Dragon Hunter Lance, will be on shared EXP anyways, and we're avoiding using those because of defense EXP to begin with. And there's 90 magic. So now that we're using barraging spells, it is about 5k or just under 5k death runes an hour, and while we do have a decent stack sitting in our bank, 5k an hour, I mean, your stack's going to deplete pretty quickly. So what I'm doing on Wait For It right now is casting or rune crafting some death runes through the abyss. Oops, just missed it, but we hit level 91 magic. 3 more levels until we can cast Ice Barrage, which actually we are already casting Ice Barrage because I have brought myself some Forgotten Brews to boost my magic levels up. And yeah, I'm able to Ice Barrage to train faster. After many hours in the Monkey Madness 1 tunnels, I've decided to have a change of scenery. We're here in the Czar Fight Caves area next to the Inferno entrance, actually. And we're going to test out barraging here and see what the EXP rates are like. According to the wiki, the EXP rates should be comparable, but we'll have to see. One of the plus things about barraging here instead of the Monkey Madness 1 tunnels is that we do get Tokal, and there are some collection log slots to get. After testing out that new location for a couple of minutes, I decided that I'm going to head back to Monkey Madness 1 tunnels. The only way I can describe that experience is that it's like doing a Necreal's task, but more annoying because there's not like a chamber that you're in, there's not a room that you're in, they're super spread out, and even though I went to a spot that was mostly melee, there were a couple of rangers and majors that would occasionally tag me. No way, we just got our 3rd champion scroll. Yep, that's right, you heard it right. 3rd champion scroll. Back when we were going for the MA2 cape and the zombie axe, I was training magic up at that point too. And I came to the Monkey Madness 1 caves and got not one, but 2 skeleton champion scrolls. And here is our third. Okay, disregard the weird resolution from that last clip. I guess I was so excited I accidentally dragged and resized the Runelight client, causing a weird resolution. But yeah, third skeleton champion scroll. Just hit 92 magic. Obligatory halfway there to 99. So while I've been training, I've been discussing with the clan when I should go ahead and just send the Inferno, at what magic level that is. And at first I was planning on getting maybe 95 or 96 as a buffer for when the bats inevitably drain my stats. However, I think I'm just going to go ahead and send it at 94. Since we hit 92 magic, we need about another 1.3 mil EXP to not only get to 93, but 94. Assuming we're gaining about 200k EXP an hour, that's going to be somewhere between 6 to 7 hours. I don't think I'm going to hit 94 today in real time. I might get close though, but we'll definitely get it tomorrow, and then we will be sending the Inferno. While we are still working on getting 94 magic for Ice Barrage, we are on wait for it at the Mixology Lab to work on getting some points so that we can purchase the secondary that is used to make prayer regeneration potions. Okay, opening up the shop here, we should have enough points. We have 48 of these herbs, which I don't know how to pronounce. And we're going to need 48 of these secondaries, which is right here. I can only assume we have enough. Plugging into a calculator, and we do. 48. We're going to go ahead and make those potions now. In order to squeeze out as much value as we can out of this, we have our Alchemist Amulet, which the Gommel's Lucky Penny, if you have the Master Combat achievement tier, actually works on saving charges for that. And then we also have the Prescription Goggles, and just for convenience, we also have the pouch, which we put these secondaries in there. And now let's go ahead and make the, I skipped a very important step. First, we got to make the unfinished potions. Okay, the unfinished potions have been made. Now we can go ahead and make these potions. So if we didn't have the amulet or the prescription goggles, we should come out with 48 3-dose prayer regeneration potions. Let's see what we actually end up with though. Converted to 4-dose prayer regeneration potions, we should end up with 36, but we ended up with 38. So we got 2 bonus prayer regeneration potions. On top of that, we saved on 4 of the secondaries. Magic levels have been our primary focus, but any hit point levels that we get are a nice bonus as well. We just hit 96. And there is 93 magic, just one more level to go. 748k EXP remaining. A couple more Ice Barrage casts here, and we'll hit 94 magic. Ice Barrage is officially unlocked. Let's get out of the tunnels, which we've spent, I don't know, like our last 3 days at. Alright, it is that time. Well, first I'm going to grab some lunch, and then we're going to get geared up. And it is time to tackle the Inferno as a 50 defense, 63 prayer account. We are back and we're just outside the Infernal entrance at the bank. We've geared up. For our mage gear, we got the Kodai, the Mage's Book, Blue Moon top and bottoms, and of course the Occult. For our range gear, we got the Blowpipe with Dragon Darts in it. We got the Necklace of Anguish, the Eclipse, top and bottom. We have the Eclipse helmet equipped as well. We got the Twisted Bow, and I'm actually going to swap out the Amethyst arrows for Dragon arrows. Good thing I spotted that. And of course we got the Quiver. We got the Zarite Van Braces. And yeah. In terms of our inventory, we're going to use Bastion Potions. Bastion Potions are basically range pots, if you didn't know. However, they also give you defense. We got 2 Divines and 2 Regulars. The Regulars we're probably going to be using at Zuck. And the Divines we're going to use to get through the waves. We got 3 prayer regeneration potions, which I've never used before, so I'm pretty excited to use those. We're bringing in 6 brews, and how many restores is this? 7, 8, 9 restores. And of course we have our rune pouch for our spells. I'm pretty excited for this, but I don't really know what to expect. We'll just have to go in and see what happens. Okay, fantastic realization. At least I caught it like right afterwards, but as I was turning in the fire cape, my mic was muted. But I was saying that was our only fire cape. So we're either going to get the cape right now on this first attempt, or we're staying until we do, no matter how many attempts it takes, because we don't have another fire cape. I mean, I could go get another one, but who wants to be doing that? So here we go, jumping into the Inferno. This little animation, enter the Inferno, is always pretty cool. Neat little animation. We drop a super restore on the ground to make room to equip our blowpipe and twisted bow. Early waves, we're just trying to get settled in there, nothing too special. We got our first melee, just safe spot it with the pillar. And then the first ranger. The ranger, you do have to pray range, and it is a little bit punishing to miss your prayer. But not too bad, it's not like it's a one-shot or anything, so still pretty comfortable here. And then on this next wave, we get a combination. Well, actually, it's wave 31. Usually, probably one of the first, like, remotely difficult waves. You got a melee, 2 blobs, and a ranger. The nibblers are kind of giving me trouble there, but I'm able to clear them. Actually, yeah, we do. There was one kind of lingering by the pillar there, but... Anyways, we run over to the east side, get rid of the blobs, because the melee is going to dig any second now. So we're just trying to clear out the blobs to buy us more time. And we're actually getting absolutely destroyed. Oh, there we go. Okay, first run, we died on wave 31. Now I have a bit of experience as to what it's like as a 50 defense account. Those melees will really chomp you out. But yeah, the takeaway there is I have to be a bit more decisive when it comes to the melees. On a 99 defense account, and particularly if it's not your first cape and you're on Slayer task, you can definitely just tank the melees and delete them with your blowpipe. I don't think we have the DPS and definitely not the defense to be able to do that consistently here. So after breaking down what happened, we hop in for our second attempt, and this time around we make a deeper run into wave 47. We got a major, a blob, a melee, and 2 bats. So quite a bit more things here. And in an effort to make it to the east side to hide from the major, we book it over there, but we misclick, and unfortunately we eat a big mage hit. And from that point on, I think I was just trying to kill stuff as fast as possible, but being 50 defense, we were just eating the bat hits, we were eating the blob hits, and that was second attempt. Now we head back in, third attempt here. We got a random event we just dismiss. Ain't nobody got time for that right now. But yeah, wave 1, we just get situated, safe spot the bat with the pillar, get rid of the nibblers, which took me like 3 barrages, a bit annoying, but at least that happened early and not on like wave 62. And this time around, new PB, we're at wave 50 where we get the major and the ranger, and we get a nice humble spawn, so it's not even an issue. The nibblers were giving me trouble again, but because the ranger was safe spotted behind the pillar, all we had to do was pray mage and get rid of the nibblers, then the major, and then the ranger. So wave 50, nice and simple. But this is where things start getting real, because you're most likely going to have to tank a range hit like I just did there. I do try to freeze the melee there, but unfortunately we splash. Or did I cast a blood barrage there instead of an ice barrage? I don't know. But we're forced to off-tick here. And flick between the range and melee. Get rid of that. Now we have all the time in the world. I guess I choose the blood barrage there just to safe up a little bit. We do go for the major first though, so that less respawns happen. Although the melee did respawn. But nothing too special from that point. Just one mob at a time, using the pillar. And now we hit wave 62, highly regarded as one of the most difficult waves, that and wave 63. We have a nibbler chomping down the south pillar right now, but that's not a big deal. We prioritize getting rid of the major, so no more respawns happen. And once the melee digs, I feel pretty comfortable flicking the ranger and the blob so that I go save the south pillar. And then here, nothing too much goes on here. I just get rid of the blob that's attacking me on the south side. Let the melee dig, get rid of that. And we make it to wave 63. Again, I feel like this is a pretty humble spawn. Right now, all we have to do is flick the major and the blob. The only danger is the melee digging, which is what happens right there. We do kill the major in time. And thanks to that, we're able to just turn the corner and now flick the ranger and the blob. And once again, I do feel comfortable with the melee behind me to book it south and save the pillar. Perhaps a unnecessary risk in hindsight there though, but I felt pretty comfortable doing it. And I think at this point the CA to save all the pillars was in the back of my mind. I wanted to go for that. But once again, the hard part is over and we're just killing one mob at a time. And we're blood barraging so that we start wave 64 with as much health as we can. And of course take the opportunity to head back to the north pillar, which is where we want to be at all times. Not really sure what I was doing here, maybe just recollecting myself. I think I opt to barrage the blob here just to squeeze out as much health back as I can. Because the Rangers max hit you for, I think like 46, 47, and then if you get hit by a blob or anything else, that could, you know, be a dangerous position to be at. Or a melee, especially a melee. Those melees will hit you pretty big as well, especially being on a 50 defense account. Anyways, wave 64. I guess nothing too special happened there. We get through 65. And then 66, whatever you do. This is free, just don't flick, you know? Check your ego real quick, just play it safe. Pray mage, and get both the majors down at a similar time to prevent them from spawning, or respawning rather. Anyways, we make it to Jad. You know, this is just like Fight Caves Jad, but except you spent over an hour, for me an hour and a half to get to this point, so naturally nerves do kick in. The healers are out. We're actually getting clapped up by them. Look, now we're down to half health. We do get them onto the other side of Jet though, and we're trying to blood barrage back up before we finish it off and get to triples. So we get the single Jad out the way. That should be a freebie. And here comes triple Jads. Triple Jads is honestly not that difficult. I feel like when people get here for the first time, their heart rate is just up and they think the attacks are faster than they are, but it's plenty of time to react in between the two. So healers come out on the first one, we get done with the first Jad, the second Jad, and this is where tragedy occurs. A 73 to the dome and we're dead. And that was just a silly mistake. Well, you saw it right there. That was a really good run. We made it to triple Jads, and it was absolutely free. I had everything under control. I got the first Jad down, the second Jad down, but as I rotated my camera and repositioned my camera or character from the second Jad to the last Jad, for some reason, I saw Jad move, about to attack, and I switched from prey range to prey mage, but it was a range attack. And for a split second there, not even a second, I realized I messed up, and I had a split second thought to tick eat it. But my natural reflexes just flipped back to the spellbook and turned on prey range, but by then it was too late. To go out like that is definitely a stinger. That one hurts. But to look at the positives, I now know I can take a 50 defense, 63 prayer account all the way to Zuck and get the cape. I mean, look at these supplies. So after that triple Jad showing, that was actually the end of day 1. Now we're on day 2. We're on wave 30. And it was a rough start. If I had just stood on this tile right here earlier, then the ranger would have been corner trapped and would not have seen me. But because I was slow on that, I was getting hit by both the melee and the ranger. I was trying to figure out if they were off-ticked or not. And I just eat too many hits, both from the blobs and the bats. And that was an unfortunate first run. But right after the wave 30, we send another one and we make it to wave 58. Pretty good spawn here. Got the ranger trapped behind the major, so it can't even see me. Got the melee coming, and once again, I was trying to figure out if they were off-ticked, and I just get chomped out by the melee. I swear on a 99 defense account that wouldn't even be an issue. You just pray mage, and then you delete the melee. Next attempt, we're now on wave 29. And honestly, not too much to say here. This was just kind of a brain fart. For some reason, I thought turning the corner there would have safe spotted the melee, but obviously it did not. Next attempt, we make it to wave 54, and we get a major ranger west spawn. That is the first time that has happened. It caught me off guard. I tried to recover by booking it to the east side, but then the blob and the bat just finished me off there. Next attempt, we're now on wave 41. And I want to say I just get a little too fancy here. I'm trying to, you know, obviously get rid of the nibblers there. And I do feel pretty comfortable typically flicking the major and blobs. But I think I just messed up there. Next attempt, wave 47. And not much to say here. It was just a fat misclick. But next attempt, we make it to Zuck. This time around, we got our get back on the last Jad for triple Jads. But here we go. And we actually get the good shield rotation this time. So the shield went right side first, which means we're going to be on the right side when the first set spawns. And that's where the ranger's going to be. And that way we can just protect range and try to delete the ranger as fast as possible before having to tag the major and then having to deal with the major and the ranger. And I think the DPS here was pretty good too. We're doing a lot of damage. We pull our blowpipe, we get ready here, pray range. We also have thick skin on just in case. Blowpiping it, trying not to miss any DPS here while staying with the shield. And we just get the ranger in time, and then we tag the major right away so it stops hitting the shield. So I was pretty happy with that. That was a pretty good performance there, I feel like. I got the ranger out in time. Otherwise, if we had to run out of range of the ranger, that could have been troublesome. Anyways, back on Zuck here. We're trying to get Zuck to sub 600 HP. That way we pause the timer for the second set spawning. Very simple here. We just pray mage and we hit Zuck following the shield. Okay, a big hit there, and now we can turn our attention to just finishing off the major since the set timer is paused. I wasn't sure if you could hit the major from that tile. I actually don't think you can. If it was Jad, you can hit Jad from any of those tiles, but for the major, I don't think so. We get rid of the major there, back on the Zuck, and we're getting ready for a Jad spawn here at the 480 HP threshold. So there we go. Jad spawns. I never really know what the best camera angle here to deal with this situation is. I just kind of like move my camera on the fly. To be honest, you don't really need to have clear vision of Zuck. You just need to be able to see when the attack hits the shield. The healers come out on the Jad. We quickly blood barrage it. We don't actually need to deal any damage to the healers, so no gear switching there. We actually had very good DPS on this Jad, I feel like. And I was feeling pretty confident this entire time. I was like, this is going pretty cleanly. We haven't tanked any hits or anything like that. And right here, Jad is getting low. I'm mentally preparing that, you know, it's going to be finished off any second there. But I had to take an extra hit. I brew, and I'm like, okay, back on the Zuck, right? So I click Zuck right away. But that was costly. That put me, I don't know, if I had to guess, like just like one tick behind. And I ate a Zuck attack. And unfortunately didn't get lucky to tank it. So that was the end of day 2. And here on day 3, we're back at Zuck. I will say though, there was a clip of me dying before this Zuck. I think it was like wave 47 or 48, just a silly misclick mistake. But attempt number 2 of day number 3, we make it to Zuck. And this time around, the shield goes to the left side, which means the set is going to spawn when we're on the left side, and the major is going to be the closer mob, and we're going to have to tag the major first. DPS is not looking as good this time around. We hit a couple of zeros already. And yep, now we're making it back to the left side. Couple more hits here, and we're gonna, there we go, turn on Prey Mage. We'll keep our T-bow out because we're just tagging the major there. And we definitely cannot reach the major from this side, so I try to sneak in an extra hit on Zuck. Hit a 0, of course. We now tag the ranger. And if I was a better gamer, I would recognize that they were off-ticked here. At least I think they were. Yeah, they were. And I would have been able to flick range and mage, but I was just going for the tanking option here. I was trying to spec down the ranger. And honestly, right here, I'm running without hitting the ranger because I thought it was dead. But also, if we rewind it back, a lot to unpack there. I actually tanked a Zuck hit. But we get away with it, just barely. And now we turn our focus to Zuck while protecting mage. We're sitting at 16 health, and we only have 3 brew doses. The journey up to Zuck was much more rough this time around. It was nowhere near as clean, and we just used a lot more supplies. So, in the moment, from this point on, I was like, yeah, honestly, the chances are slim, but what am I going to do? You know, I spent an hour and, 45 minutes to get to this point. I'm going to have to stick it out and see if I can pull it off, right? I do have plenty of restores, and we just have to hope that redemption procs, right? But again, DPS, not as good as that first Zuck this time around. We're hitting a lot of zeros. We are potted, just unlucky on the hits, I guess. We finally get it to sub 600, so the timer is paused, and now we can get rid of the major. Honestly, at this point, I was also thinking, you know, I wonder when the second set is going to spawn. We lost a lot of time there because of the DPS just not being there. But anyways, we focus the major down. We finish it off right there. And I think I make the choice to brew here because I know Jad is coming up, and the healers could messed me up pretty badly there. So I brew up, now I'm out of brews. I repot the divine, not a divine, but a bastion pot. Jad spawns. Yeah, even the hits on Jad aren't as big as that first one. But, I mean, we did get away with tanking a Zuck hit on this one, so, you know, you can't ask for everything. I even have the rapid heal, I think it's a prayer, going on. Just, you know, maybe 1 HP will save me in some situation, I don't know. Again, Jad healers. Barrage them to just to tag them, to get them, stopping them from healing the Jad. Oh yeah, right away. So yeah, I'm already eating hits from the healers. Took an 8 there. If I was more confident, I'd be flicking the Prey melee in between the Jad hits, but I just didn't have that level of confidence to do that. So this was the part where we died on the first Zuck. Jad's nearly dead. We're in actually exact same tiles too. But this time around we move and we shoot Jad so that we don't fall behind on the shield. So now that Jad's gone, we're sitting at 33 health with no brews left, and we're focusing down Zuck. We know healers are about to come. Again, in the back of my mind, like during this, I was just like, you know, there's a chance that the second set's gonna spawn at some point, like not ideal. If it happens mid healers, that's gonna be really bad. And even if the second set shows up at all, you know, I have no brews, I'm gonna be forced to like prey flick them, you know? But here, I turn on Redemption preemptively, getting ready for healers. If you didn't know, the best way, or best time to proc healers is when you're on the sides like this. So here, I'm hovering over the blowpipe, I'm like T-bow, please hit. We get the hit. And you want to proc healers when you're on the sides. That way you can tag all the healers in one rotation of the shield to stop them from healing Zuck. And then from that point on, you just blow pipe walk and try to get in as much hits as possible, as many hits as possible. We did get a redemption proc there, but unfortunately we didn't turn it back on in time. And that was our second Zuck. So at the time, I actually didn't know I tanked a Zuck hit, so the confidence was still really high, and we sent it straight back in. We make it to wave 47, we hop over to the east side of the pillar to drag the major over, and right here, you know, we're just getting ready to shoot the major, but then I realize a nibbler is still on the pillar. So we try to get rid of that, but unfortunately, it takes us multiple attempts. We're currently eating blob and bat hits, and then we panic and run into the melee. Well, that's over and done with. On to the next attempt. Again, still on the same day. Wave 1 here. No, we one-shot the nibblers. Maybe that was a good sign. Get rid of the bat. First blob, get rid of that. We're moving and grooving here. I decided to tackle the blobs like that just to take as least amount of damage as possible. If you were a normal account on a normal run, you can definitely just kill the blobs anywhere and then just run up to them and barrage them. And usually you deal with them in one shot more times than not and barely take any damage. But what I found on a 50 defense account was a slightly different story. So we get our first melee here paired with 2 bats. A little safe spot towel here, corner safe spot. 5 minutes in, we're already on wave 11. Now on wave 18, our first ranger. On these early waves and certain waves which are just kind of free, you can start from anywhere really. So I just start near the center so that I can get a good cast, a good ice barrage cast on the nibblers. Rangers down. Now paired with the blob. Again, just feeling very comfortable in these situations. Flicking a ranger and a blob. We're just trying to speed through the early waves as fast as possible. And this is actually part of the process as to what makes the Inferno hard. The early waves are easy, but they still do punish you if you're not focused. Here on wave 29, I find that sometimes even for someone that has done a lot of Inferno, sometimes these waves catch you out. 29, 31, the ones where there's blobs and melees, sometimes, I don't know. Maybe it's just me, you know? Maybe I'm just not that good at the Inferno, which I do think is true. It's not like I have too many reps at the Inferno. But we get rid of the melee early there quick so it doesn't cause us any trouble, and the rest of that wave is pretty easy. Here on wave 30, again chasing nibblers, but feeling pretty comfortable. The melee is safe spotted on that east side of the pillar. And then we utilize the west pillar. Utilizing the west pillar is very underrated. There's actually a decent amount of situations where utilizing the west pillar is just a very simple solve. And right here, because we hide behind the west pillar, we're able to drag the ranger closer while still being safe spotted from the bat and the melee over there. It does dig though, but once again, west pillar, not a problem. Just hide behind the pillar from the ranger and finish off the melee. Here on wave 31, still feeling pretty comfortable, just trying to preserve the pillar healths. I'm not sure I see that one surviving nibbler there, and here I am just continuing with the rest of the wave. Getting rid of the melee first so it doesn't cause any issues when it digs later. And then the rest of the wave is a very easy solve. I do think here I had the blue moon top on, so that was a bit unfortunate. I finish off the wave and I'm like, oh look, I'm done. And then boom, I realized that this nibbler has been chomping on west pillar the entire time. Make it to the first major though. Again, starting in the middle of the room. Because the only thing that can attack me is the major, and as long as we keep praying mage on, we are good to go. Now we get a major and a blob. The bat back there is completely irrelevant. Just one tick alternating there to make it easy. 2 bats in front and the major in the back, and the blob respawns, which is a bit unfortunate. So now instead of just flicking mage, we have to 1-tick alternate again. But we handled that, and we actually do a bit of ghost barraging here to heal back up. Heal back up to full, actually, 96. And next wave, we actually skip a couple of waves here. We're on wave 45. We got a major, a melee, and the blob. Nibbler's giving me trouble once again, but luckily we do get rid of that last one. Major's a little bit far out, so we deal with the melee first. And I think I actually turned the corner here to deal with the melee just to make it simple. But then I realized, you know, you can do the corner safe spot on this side of the pillar as well. And now we just focus the major. But then, of course, it digs, complicates things a little bit. And I just solve it by running through and trapping the melee on the other side. But now we have to melee, or we have to mage and range flick for the blob. Here's an interesting little angle we had to take to get the major to see us, for us to reach the major. Melee respawns, which is a bit of a pain in the ass every time that happens, but that was safe spotted as well. Here on wave 48, we got the melee coming towards us. We're nibbler chasing here, utilizing west pillar. Honestly, this was very, very risky, and I think, I'm not too sure here, but I could have been chanced a few times there. If the mage meleeed me, maybe. Honestly, maybe west pillar was not the play here, I don't know. But we get rid of the melee real quick while tanking the blob. And now we mage, range, 1-tick alternate to deal with the major and the blob. Yeah, in hindsight, maybe there was something better there. The melee honestly respawned very quickly. And luckily I was able to read this quickly and just hop on over to the other side of the pillar so that the melee could not reach me. We make it to wave 50. The first mage and range set shows up. Very simple. We're just dragging them closer to the pillar so that we can keep them isolated. Wave 51, very simple. And if the nibblers are ever on your pillar like this, you can actually stand in the tile I'm at next to the edge of the arena and reach those nibblers without showing yourself to the other side. So this was a little bit interesting here. First time I had to really do this. And here I am off-ticking the ranger and the major, which I feel like is pretty scary to do, although it's just not that difficult. It's the same as 1-tick alternating anything else, really. But it's just scary because tanking a mage hit can end your run right then and there. Here I am on wave 55, and I was purposely just flicking tech mage to get the major to spawn stuff so that I could heal off of them. In these waves 50 plus, I definitely have to start with as much health as I can to tank any potential range and blob hits. Here on wave 56, this was pretty free. Unfortunately, we just did not get very many good ice barrages, and once again, there are nibblers chomping on the south pillar. But we just 1-tick alternate the major and blob, deal with that. Now we're trying to save the pillar, and still not getting nibblers down. We're flicking the ranger and blobs now. Another barrage goes off, and that thing is 1 HP. But I think at this point I'm just like, I'm over it. You know, we don't need that pillar. Or I just like simply didn't want to take the risk at that point. Get rid of 1 blob. And we're like, okay, let's go save the pillar. But that pillar lost a lot of health. Again, didn't catch the freeze on all the nibblers. I thought this melee would be safe spotted. That was a miscalculation. We get down to 5 health, real scary here. But luckily, I actually played this fairly well. Turned the corner, flicked the blob even. Safe spot the melee. And if I didn't flick that blob, I probably would have been chanced and most likely been dead. Or not probably chanced, I would have been chanced and most likely dead. Here on wave 62, a lot of damage taken off rip. We're flicking the blob, we're tanking the bat. Get rid of the bat, and I really wasn't sure what to do here, so I was like, okay, let me get the bat. And then I see the melee coming down on the east side. I actually killed the blob in time, which is pretty lucky, because If I was standing on this tower right here, I don't think I would have been in range to tag that blob. So because the mini blobs are out, I'm taking a little bit of a risk here. I'm just praying melee so I don't get chomped by the melee, and I blood barrage the blobs. Now the blob's out the way, we get rid of the melee. And we had this interesting stack here, and I cut the footage here by a lot, but I was standing around trying to figure out what to do. Now this right here is what you're supposed to do, except I messed up. I messed up my flicking, and I ate... I'm not sure what I ate there, but a 42 is no good. But luckily, a blob respawn in there was actually beneficial to me. Now the bat and the ranger are isolated on one side and the blob and major on the other. So I elect to ghost barrage here, just to get as much health as possible in case I make any mistakes. Get rid of the bat, and at 30 health I feel a little bit more confident. And get rid of the major, blob, and bat. On wave 63 now. Corner safe spot on the ranger, we got the blob on the other side. Nibbler is chomping our pillar, which is not great. We take our time, turn the corner so we deal with the nibblers while flicking the major and blobs. And then, I think this was the decision here that saved my wave. I decided to DPS down the melee first, rather than going for the major. Because if it dug, I honestly wouldn't be too sure what I wanted to do there. I mean, I would know one step afterwards what to do. I could then corner safe spot it on the north side. But after that, that's when things get real rough. So here, instead of focusing the major, I'm just buying myself time to think, right? As long as I clear the north side, I have more time to think. And flicking one blob like that, not a big deal at all. I turn the corner, start focusing on the major, and then the ranger just respawns right away. So I'm like, okay, now the blob's a little bit closer, let's get rid of this blob. That way I don't waste my supplies, and I buy myself time to think. Here I am, mage, range, one tick alternating the blob and the major, and then the ranger sneaks around the corner. I almost didn't catch that, but luckily I did. And from that point on, though, this wave was solved, and it was free. It was just a matter of healing back up to prepare for wave 64, which, we'll get to wave 64. It was interesting, to say the least. Here we go, wave 64. You know, nothing too crazy right now. Major and melee on one side. I delete the nibblers, which is great. Now I'm DPSing down this one melee. I mess up there, though. See, this is the dangers of flicking if you're not sure on the timing. But I get rid of that melee. However, there's still one more lurking there. But I'm already kind of like panicked here because, you know, I just nearly ended my run. So here I'm thinking, okay, the majors there is fine, but that melee is about to dig. So I jump over to this side. I pray range, which is fine. And I'm like, okay, let me alternate and off-tick the ranger and major and run around so the melee doesn't get me. But then, I don't know, this is just extra motion here. I miss a couple of flicks. I turn the corner and I think I'm safe from the range here, but I'm not. I think I tick eat once there, realize I'm still getting hit by the ranger, and then I make it behind the pillar to where only the major sees me. Wave 64 is typically not dangerous at all. Once you make it past 62 and 63, you're home free, right? And that's what people typically think anyways, but evidently not. Evidently not for me. This is a bit scary too. The melee dug, but luckily we killed the major in time and we immediately flicked the prey melee. But that was the end of wave 64. And on 65, you just have to make sure that either both the ranger see you or just the major sees you, you know, like one or the other. You can't have the major and ranger see you. Again, 66. Don't risk it, just keep praying mage on. First Zuck, or not first Zuck, first Jad. Honestly, as a 50 defense account, these healers were really messing me up. But here I am tagging the healers, and I think we're getting ready to do the run through. I don't quite remember, to be honest. Yes, we are, because we're bringing that one last healer over. And you can see we're just taking so much damage. I say that as I proceed to watch myself just tank zeros, but yeah, here we go. I was actually a little scared here, and I was prepping the run through. I get hit for 32 by the healers as I run through. But get the job done there. Now we can safely barrage them from the other side. And once we heal back up, that's the end of the first Jad. Here we are at triples. Healers spawn on the first Jad. I always like to kill the one that's by itself on the south side first. That way I can reposition my camera afterwards to get the other two clearly in view. Just dealing with the healers there. Just tanking one was not too bad that time around. On the second Jad, we actually just blood barraged them early to heal back up. Got rid of the second Jad. And this time around, we were very careful. I made sure on this triple Jad to be very careful after what happened on the very first time. Where I was just looking too far ahead and not focusing on, you know, what was immediately happening. We do the run through here, heal ourselves back up to full HP. And down goes the third Jad. Although, I guess we weren't hitting very hard here. We just hit 3 straight zeros. 4 straight zeros. But down goes the last Jad. So, I believe this is our third Zuck. And on day number 3. The shield goes to the left side, so we're going to be on the major side. A 60 and a 65 to start, so feeling pretty good about that. But this was the third Zuck, so I was feeling even more confident. Again, at the time, I did not know that on the second Zuck, I actually tanked a hit. Obviously, on the first one, we just ate a 90, and that was really tragic. But I had no idea I tanked a hit on the second one. I was just so focused on the Ranger there. But anyways, here on the third Zuck, DPS isn't bad. The set spawns. Tag the Major right away. We look ahead to the Ranger. T-bow it because we're out of range. Switch to a blowpipe. And we actually tanked pretty well here to start with. A 19 and a 16. Our blowpipe specs, though, that second blowpipe spec hit a 0, so that was very unfortunate. Right there, I did have to ticky. I was under 46 HP, which I believe is the max hit of the Ranger. And even though it hit, I think, a 0 on me, I still had to ticky there to make sure. But Ranger is dead. We took a lot of damage there, but we got it done. And now we DPS Zuck to try and pause the timer as quickly as possible. Honestly, good hits on this run. We got the timer paused already. I'm just brewing back up in preparation for Jad. I do this now because, again, the timer is paused, so we're not wasting any time here. We re-Bastion pot, DPS the Major now. Back on the Zuck, getting ready for the Jad. Had my Prey Mage on here for no real reason, I guess, but I mean, Prayer's not exactly hurting, so we're fine there. We start Jad. I think this was actually a very humble Jad. It rarely switched attack styles. It was mostly ranging us. Yeah, like right there, that was like 3 range hits in a row. We proc healers. And I was just playing it safe there. I felt like I was going to fall behind on the shield if I tried to barrage, so I just ran to the corner instead. Waited till I was back here again to barrage. Finally a mage hit, which luckily we weren't lulled into a false sense of security there, and we were still paying good attention on that. We had thick skin here to tank the healers. Again, just didn't feel confident to switch to prey melee. I'd be scared that I might like switch too early and then eat the Jad hit. So the healers did do a, or not the healer, yeah, the healers, the Jad healers did do a number on me, and I'm now down to 1 brew dose. We're getting ready for healers here, hoping to proc it on this side. Hovering over our blowpipe, but our T-bow's not hitting. Okay, there we go. A big hit. Got redemption on. A little misclick there was scary, but luckily we recovered from that. There we go. We tagged all the healers. It's more important to tag all the healers rather than killing them one specifically. That way you get the healers off of Zuck. Zuck is currently at 439 health, so that's not too bad, I don't think. And now we just blowpipe run to try and get rid of the healers. Taking big damage here. That was like 20 damage in like 1 tick. Redemption goes off. And here, I chose to brew first. That way, like, you know, if it takes me a while to turn redemption back on, which actually it did, I wouldn't just die right away, which I think was a great call. Brewing there, saving 1 dose for that. We recover, we finish off the healers, and I'd say the only mistake here is that I'm currently not potted. I brewed and I did restore, but I didn't re-bastion. So, I don't know, that's like 3-4 hits, maybe even 5 there where I realized I wasn't potted. I do realize there. And Zuck is already sub 200 HP. At this point, it's just a race against the clock to see whether or not the second set spawns. I didn't use any plugins or have anybody else or any timer of sorts really on the sets. I was just winging it. I really didn't think a second set would be a problem at all. But you know, in the moment, you just never know for sure. So I was just making sure I wasn't missing any hits here. And right there, the last hit, we got the job done. 1 hour, 47 minutes, and 53 seconds. Our first cape on a 50 defense, 63 prayer account. We put that bad boy on right away. I think from here, I just gotta sit here for a moment and just take it all in, you know, the adrenaline and all that. Just kind of looking at my own character. Okay, it's been a few minutes. I teleported out of the Czar City, honestly. Being there the last couple of days, I'm kind of tired of seeing it, so I TP'd out to the POH right away just to hang out with my main, or my maxed iron. My main is unbonded, sitting at the GE somewhere. So it's been a few minutes, so hopefully the adrenaline is wearing off now, and I can speak coherently and, you know, gather my thoughts here. Obviously, this is my first go around on the Inferno. In fact, it's the 3rd account now with their Inferno cape, but something is just so different doing it on a restricted account. 50 defense and 63 prayer. 50 defense being the biggest thing, honestly. I feel like our 63 prayer was mitigated by the fact that, you know, we don't have rigor anyways, so the prayer drain was much less. And of course, the new potions, the prayer regeneration potions. I bought in 3 of these, so 12 doses, and we come out of it with just 1 dose left. So with every time that I go back to the Inferno, I learn a little bit more. And on a 99 defense account, or a heavily geared and high defense account anyways, I learned that you can mostly ignore the blobs and start flicking them when you're ready. It's not a big deal at all to just flick them when you can, or just tank them until you're ready to do so. The focus is always to pray correctly against the Major and the Ranger. And likewise with the melees. It's very easy to just pull out your blowpipe, spec it down, if you're having to tank it, you know, and say you're not sure if you can off-tick, or maybe you're not in a situation where you can do that. However, those 2 things I just mentioned were kind of out the window on a 50 defense account. I could sometimes get away with it, but the melees were definitely chomping me, and the blobs would stack up damage quickly if I didn't react. So those two things were really just out the window. With that being said, I feel like I definitely had less time to think on the waves and I had to react more quickly. And there was definitely an element of luck. By no means did I play perfectly. I'm sure I tanked a lot of hits and survived situations where maybe I was chanced, you know? But at the end of the day, I'm pretty happy with what happened because I did at least do the luck fight perfect. No luck required, got the CA done, and I feel like a 148 on this account is pretty impressive. Right now, on my other two accounts that are max combat, they have PBs of like high 120s, low 130s. So to be only 15-20 minutes slower on this account on the first KC, I feel like this was definitely my best cape, all things considered. So typically in my videos, I don't do post commentary. I always just say something on the fly, which is why sometimes, you hear a load of gibberish from me, but, I record the clip live, I commentate live, and I don't tend to go back in post. However, as of right now, I feel like it'd be a good idea to go back in the Inferno run, show the footage, and maybe in certain situations kind of break down what I'm going to do. I don't know why I'm telling you guys this because this clip is going to be at the end of the video and then you guys would already see the footage of me yapping while doing the Inferno. So, but this is just to let you know it's post commentary if it wasn't obvious already. So here I am at Otto's Grotto Barbarian Fishing. We actually gained a level recently. We went from 88 to 89 and this is the day after completing the Infernal Cape. I've just been chilling here because I've been focused on editing the video. It's a pretty big one, I'm sure, as you've seen watching this, if you've made it this far. But yeah, anyways, over the last couple of weeks, we worked on getting the quiver, and then just yesterday, the Infernal Cape. And during that duration, we allowed ourselves to use any items, namely the Twisted Bow and the Scythe of Vitter, to get those two achievements over and done with. Now, looking forward, we have to ask ourselves, are we just going to give ourselves free reign on any items and any supplies? I've been pretty lenient on the supplies, but as for items, I've been more strict on that. I kind of hesitated to just give myself just about anything because I don't want to cheat myself or rob myself of progress. Right now, as for what's next, I'm looking at either doing Dragon Slayer 2 to get the Vorkath backpack because as of right now, even though we have a quiver, anytime we're using range weapons, we're actually losing out on a lot of darts or arrows because they're just dropping on the ground. And I mean, no matter how much I keep up with it, I'm just not going to be able to pick up all the darts or arrows that I lose. And the other thing we're looking towards is Zenyte jewelry. Even though we do have a full set of, Anguish, Tormented Bracelet, Suffering, and all that on wait for it, we do need a second set for this account. And it would only make sense for us to earn it ourselves. So we have to do Monkey Madness 2, and that includes getting 69 Slayer. We're currently at 60. With these potential grinds coming up next, I have no issue just keeping the account to where it's at right now and using, my Blade of Saildor or the Eclipse Atlatl to farm Demonic Gorillas, or, I'm not sure what I'm going to do with Vorkath, but we'll figure that out. But raids are on the horizon, whether that's TOA, Chambers of Xerix, or more Theater of Blood, which we actually have about like 3 or 4 KC. I snuck a couple of those in quite some time ago. But when it comes to those grinds, I think that's when I have to really decide how I'm going to approach giving myself items. Do I want to give myself a Twisted Bow so that I have access to the challenge mode Chamber of Xerix right away? Or do I want to start from scratch, or rather like, what I already have on this account and work my way up from there? Chambers might be a pretty bad example because if you didn't know, I did do a grueling 1 year plus long of solo CMs. Wait for it, has like 1.1k solo CMKC on top of like 300, 400 regular Chambers KC. And that's how long it took me to get a Twisted Bow. So for Chambers, I'm really not sure if I want to do another potential 1,000 Chambers without a Twisted Bow. But yeah, that's just a really good example of things I have to consider. And to tell you the truth, right now, I don't have it figured out. But I will have it figured out before we start any raids grinds, because that's going to change the dynamic and the grind that we're going to do, whether that's just going to be from a collection log standpoint or if we're actively gaining upgrades for our account. With all that being said, I think I'm going to wrap up this video now. I know it's a pretty long one, but it is a very big achievement for me personally, having done a 50 defense, 63 prayer Inferno cape, especially in the context that, for those of you that don't know, actually, I'm not sure I've ever shared this, so I don't think anybody knows, but back on my very first cape on my normal account, that took me hundreds of attempts. It was weeks on end, I think even months. I might have taken like a couple of weeks break just from burnout, but I got it done after like, I believe it was 15 Zucks. It took me the 15th Zuck attempt to finally stop choking and get that first cape. So to go from that to this cape just in 3 Zuck attempts on a 50 defense, 63 prayer account, I'm personally very proud of that. And one last note, I think the biggest takeaway for me is that even with the release of the Colosseum and the Quiver, I think the Inferno is still a bigger achievement.